Gentlelady from Missouri, Hartzler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Secretary, for all that you are doing. And I know that you care about all Americans, no matter their income level. And specifically regarding the conversation we just had, I just wanted to clarify that the changes and the proposals that you are putting forth don't kick people off. They give them an opportunity to get some training, and that if they participate in a training program to help them link to the 7.3 million open jobs available right now, that they can keep their benefits. Isn't that correct?
Better said than I did.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to move on to the program that was referenced earlier about relocating the two USDA research agencies, the National Institute for Food and Agriculture and the Economic Research Service. And I just want to let you know that those of us in Missouri are excited about that opportunity. I think you've gotten some letters from us commending you on that. We believe that we have the personnel and the individuals with the skills necessary, and we would love to have those located there. Could you kind of give us an update on your rationale for why you wanted to move this agency out of D.C., out of the Beltway, and move it closer to the heartland, closer to where the farmers are?
Sure, surely. You, along with 135 others, would be happy, I think, with the expressions of interest that we got, and we're certainly doing a very thorough, objective process. In fact, we engaged an accounting firm, Ernst & Young, that's used to doing these kind of relocations assessments in order to make sure that we did not involve any kind of political pressure or biases in that in any way, evaluating these, and there are some very interesting offers out there. Certainly, from a management perspective, having been governor as well as a business person, I think you go where you can attract the best labor force. And what we saw from testimony, I think a letter that Mr. Ramaswamy, who was the former director of NIFA, talked about the difficulty of living in Washington, D.C. with its cost of living. We think also it's costly to the federal government here. NIFA had a lease was up and had the need to move locations, and that's what began me thinking about the possibility of both these agencies being more relocated closer to the heartland of where their customers, most of their customers are. We plan on leaving a contingent of leadership in both those agencies, ERS and NIFA here, to be responsive to Congress and any other agencies here, interagency type of relationships that we need to develop from a professional perspective there. But frankly, most of the recruits that we have in a early PhD program, it's very difficult to uproot young families and try to give them a definite quality of life here in the D.C. area in many ways. So I understand it's a change and people don't like change. We think there are adequate reasons. We'd be happy to, outside these hearings today, we don't have time, I'd be happy to discuss anyone that has major questions about that, our reasoning.
Sounds good. Your tweet on Friday about the commitment from the Chinese to purchase 10 million tons of soybeans was great news. Can we look forward to purchase commitments on other commodities like ethanol and DDGs as part of the negotiations? I
sure hope so. I'll give you a cute anecdote that happened in the meeting there when the Vice Premier He gave that commitment. The president said, Sonny, go out and tell your farmers that we got 10 million more bushels. That's a big deal, right? I said, yes, Mr. President. He said, go and tell them. I kept sitting there. I did not leave. And he said, aren't you going to go tell them? I said, no, I'm hoping there'll be more. And the Vice Premier looked at me and said, there'll be more. So, but we're optimistic. We have to be cautiously optimistic. These negotiations are never over until they're over with the Chinese, and we've got a lot of details, a lot of, frankly, hurdles in order to get there. There are some structural reforms and non-tariff measures that have to be agreed to in order to reach the kind of lofty purchase potential that's out there for the Chinese. So we're hopeful. That'll be determined later. I think we'll continue to make progress, but ultimately I think President Xi and President Trump will have to decide that it's time to restore relationships in a meaningful, enforceable way that reforms the intellectual property transfer issues that we felt were damaging our national economy initially.
Absolutely. We appreciate all your work and all your leadership. Thank you. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, gentlelady, and I'm pleased to